Hi, today on Guys Playing Games, we're going to be talking about the setup and rules for the board game Dominion. The purpose of Dominion is to build up your deck. And so you are strategically trying to purchase cards that will help you gain the largest amount of victory points. The person who has the most victory points at the end will win the game. And so I will explain the three different types of cards that we have in this game. There are treasure cards, there are victory cards, and there are kingdom cards. There will always be treasury and victory cards, but the kingdom cards will vary according to the different types of games that you play. That's the cool thing about Dominion, is that you're never really playing the same game, and you can change it up every time. Or you could play the same thing if you really want to. It's your choice. So the way that you will set up the game, you can kind of set it up whatever way is most convenient for you. So in Dominion, you have three types of cards. You have your treasure cards, your victory cards, and your kingdom cards. And your treasure cards you use to purchase other cards. Your victory cards are, of course, how you end up winning the game. They are the only cards that matter at the end. And your kingdom cards are specialty cards that give you advantages that you can use in your turns. So in your treasure cards, you have the copper, which is worth 1, silvers, which are worth 2, and golds, which are worth 3. Down at the bottom, you can see how much it costs in order to purchase them. So it's 0 for copper, 3 for silver, and 6 for gold. Up here, it indicates how much they are worth when purchasing cards. So those are your treasure cards. And we'll move on to the victory cards. Here we have an estate, a duchy, and a province. And so you can see that these are the amounts to purchase each one, 2, 5, and 8. And the numbers in the very middle are how many victory points that you get at the end of the game when you purchase these cards. These are the only cards that actually have a specific number that are supposed to be in the game based on how many players you have. This game you can either play with 2, 3, or 4 players. And if you're playing with 3 or 4, you're supposed to have 12 in each pile. If you're playing with 2 players, you're supposed to reduce these piles to 8. So you'll take out some from each of them. These are curse cards, so they are negative victory points, and they will count against the victory points that you have at the end if you have them in your deck. There are some ways to get rid of cards if you're playing with certain kingdom cards. Otherwise, you're just kind of screwed. So basically, there are some cards in the game, some kingdom cards that cause curses, and sometimes you won't use them. So sometimes it's not necessary in your setup. But one thing that is good to know about curse cards is that if you're playing with 2 people, it is 10 curse cards in the game, 3 is 20, and 4 is 30. Next, we'll talk about the kingdom cards. These are a few examples of kingdom cards that you can work with. The basic pack of cards that you get with the standard Dominion game has 25 kingdom cards. These are a group of sample cards that you pick from when you're looking for the ones you want to work with. And you can either choose to pick out ones that you want to work with, or you could randomly shuffle them up and pick out 10 random ones. I have down here 10 of the basic ones that they suggest for beginners. So you can look in the rules, and they actually have suggested groupings based on what kind of game you want to play. This one is the beginner one, so it includes cellar, market, militia, mine, moat, remodel, smithy, village, woodcutter, and workshop. So I'll explain specific cards in videos to come, but we're just going to talk about the real basics. And each time you start the game, every player starts out with 10 cards. They have 7 coppers and 3 estates. put it this way so you can actually see it. This is what everybody starts with. And victory cards are only useful at the end of the game. They are not useful during play. You'll shuffle your deck and you'll pull out 5 cards. You'll always have 5 cards in your hand. And if it was my turn, so I have 4 coppers and 1 estate. In your turn, you have 3 phases. You have an action phase, a buy phase, and a cleanup phase. Since I don't have any action cards, you only get action cards from purchasing some of these kingdom cards. I'll skip my action phase and I'll move on to my buy phase. Now I have 4 coppers in my hand and each of them equal 1. So I have 4 coins to work with. I think I will purchase a village. And this one is actually only worth 3, so you can purchase something that's cheaper. You don't get to use the other coins for something else unless you have an extra buy. So I just, wasted that 1 coin. You can always purchase less but not more than what you have. So I discard all of those cards into my discard pile, and that's called my cleanup phase. And doing that ends my turn and it moves on to the next person. So your next turn will be very similar, except you'll have 3 coppers, so I can purchase something with 3. So just for the sake of doing a third turn, you shuffle up your cards once you finish with your deck. And see, I now have an action card. So I can put down my action for my action phase, and that allows me to grab an extra card, which is an estate, whatever. So, and I also get 2 more actions, but since I don't have any more actions in my hand, then my action phase is done. So then I move on to my buy phase where I can purchase another card. It all goes into my discard pile, and I am done my turn. So you continue to do that until the game is ended. There are 2 ways to finish the game. The first one is if 3 supply piles are emptied, or if all of the province cards are depleted. So each of these are considered a supply pile. So if 3 at any point are gone from the game, then the game is over immediately, or the provinces. So, and at that point, everyone counts up their provinces. And so I would look through my deck, and I have just the 3 estates. So I would have 3 points. And you don't just have to purchase kingdom cards. You can purchase treasures or victory cards throughout the game. So it's just based on whatever strategy you have. I hope you enjoyed this video about the basics of setup and rules for Dominion. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. We'll be talking about the specialties that certain kingdom cards have in the future, and also other expansions that Dominion has and the specialties that they include. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.